Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rotor Talk Live, Season 3, Episode 35, DJI Mavic 3, DJI Mavic 3 in 2021, DJI Job Cuts, and DJI Mavic Air 2. It's a DJI kind of night. Marcus, how are you this evening?
Not too bad, Bill. Not too bad. Yeah, it is definitely, I think we can say, other than a little bit of Fimi stuff, DJI has really sucked all the air out of the room, mostly with the Mavic Air 2.
They sure have. And this is a reminder now, my broadcast, I'm not only broadcasting on Build a Drone Reviewer, we are also broadcasting on Build a Drone Reviewer Limited Edition because some of my subscribers like to watch over there. So I want to welcome everybody here tonight. We got a lot. And I'm going to go ahead and let's welcome people in the chat. Sam Burns is here. Hot Rod and Daytona. Lauren is here. Stephen Ewing. Ted Bowman. Good to see you, Ted. Larry Boggs is here. DeMarco is here. Ray Kelly is here. Welcome, Ray. Jeff Rozak. Mikey is in the house. Philly Drone Life. Albuquerque Quadcopter is in the house. Steve Mack is here. Drone Master, my friend in South Florida. How are you? So I think we covered all that. I want to start off, and I kind of hate to say on a somber note, but yeah, this is a somber note. One of our own in the drone community recently passed away, and it was John Spezio. And I don't know if you guys had a chance to or not. Last night, I reposted someone else, and name escapes me, found that he had put out a last video here. Now I'm going to try to crank up the sound a little bit, and he's going to give an explanation why he hasn't been on YouTube lately. And then it's a short video. It's exactly 2 minutes, and he does a quick flight. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and play that. Now I'm going to crank up the volume here.
I had heart problems, and the great people in Charlotte gave me a LVAD. A left. It's working on the left side of my heart. So I carry batteries around. Well, I got a wound pump on now, so it's no big deal. Anyways, I just carry batteries around. And then at nighttime, I plug into the wall. And it just keeps the left side of my heart going until I get a transplant. So it's all cool. Anyways, me and my grandson, Michael, that's why we haven't done the video in a while. But we've been having fun anyways. So everything's cool, and we love you guys. That's just drone community is amazing, man. I love you guys so much. Michael loves you so much. Thank you guys for everything, man. Here's some footage.
Okay. Marcus, any words on this?
Well, yeah, I mean, not much you can say, but it was nice to hear him acknowledge the drone community, and gosh, what a sad thing to happen. Anyway, there's not much more that you can say.
Well, I concur with that. And just to let everybody know, if you didn't hear what John was saying, he needed a heart transplant, and evidently he passed before he was able to get that. So, that's just, something that is just so sad. But one of the positive things, I want to let everybody know. And I saw Ken Dono had commented on somebody on the post out there in one of the groups, and how, and I'll echo it. John was always so nice in comment section. I don't know if he commented on your videos or not, Marcus, but he was out there on mine. I know he was on Ron's, all kinds of people, and he loved the drone community. Absolutely. And you never heard him say anything bad about anybody. He loved drones. He loved being able to go out to fly them, and he was giving us an explanation. He was there with his grandson. So he survived. I know he survived by his son because and believe this, he passed on July 29th. As far as there was, I don't know if there was an obituary. I think there was an obituary or not. He was in North Carolina. So if you want to remember his family in your thoughts and prayers, please do so. John was a great asset to the drone community. He loved everybody. Absolutely loved watching. I know he watched Rotor Talk Live. I know he was in the comments section and chatting away at night. And he apologized when he couldn't be here, and it was only because of his health. So again, our deepest sympathies to the family. And this is a reason for us. Like I've kept saying, be kind, and be kind. So, but with that, let's move on to some other subjects here tonight. Well, Ron's probably going to join us. He had something going on this evening, but he'll probably stop by because we have a jam-packed show. We got a lot to talk about tonight. I mean, just an awful lot. And we're going to start out with the non-DJI part of the show tonight, okay? Which it's like, oh, okay. You mean you're gonna talk about DJI tonight, Bill? Because it's been like Fimi festival lately, and I said, well, yeah, it kind of has here. So, Marcus, why don't you go over how your Fimi's been for you since you've had it?
Yeah, well, yeah, Bill. In fact, I just got through charging up batteries on both my 2018 version and 2020 version because I want to do a comparison between the two. Now, as far as my 2020, I was just telling Bill a few minutes ago before the show, if I look at the back, everybody's worried about when their Fimi was produced. On the back of my box, it says 06 of 2020. But when I look at the drone itself, and I look at that serial number tag that's under the battery compartment, it says 05 of 2020, just like Bill's, just like many other of us that have that drone. Now, as far as connection-wise and so forth, mine has been just fine. So I've had no issues. I've had an occasional little bit of a crooked horizon. The one part of it that I'm not happy with is the color science on the video. It's really odd to describe it. It almost looks like the white balance is off and it's really warm, but it's a little bit more than that as well. Albuquerque quadcopter, Tony, thank you for noticing. I appreciate it. And then if they could get that video straightened out, and my understanding is they recently came out with another firmware update. That would be, I think that would help a lot. Now, Bill, I want to acknowledge that I know we have seen enough people talk about some of the same kind of issues that you've had that may be a problem with that drone. But I'm pretty excited about getting them out and flying the 2018, then the 2020. Particularly comparing the video quality.
Yeah, I'm going to be real anxious to see that because I know, I think Jet Martin was commenting last night on Drone Nation. And by the way, had an awesome time. And thanks to Ron and Marcus, I was a fill-in, a substitute last night, but had a blast. And if you need to check it out, go check out last night's show. We had a good time. But I know Jet Martin was commenting, he said like the 2018 had like a bluish color profile. And the 2020 has a more like, what do you say, yellowish color profile. So that's going to be interesting to see. And I'm really going to be interested to see your comparison between these two. I think this is going to be great because, one of the things people had talked about was, and I think this, is there's no cooling fan in the 2020, okay? they made room for another type of component per Fimi. Okay, this is what they said, because somebody had gotten an email and replied back in the Facebook group that they needed room to put that component in, so something had to go, and it was the fan of all things. All right,
Bill, can I expand on that a little bit?
go for it.
So one of the things that I always noticed about the 2018 version is if I flew it on a warm day, man, that thing, you could barely pick it up. It would be, the bottom of that drone would be so hot. Now, the 2020 version, now you're saying that they've omitted the fan. I flew mine the other day on a 100-degree day, and that was the first thing I checked, right? With the bottom where those heat sinks were at. And it was warm, but it was far from being hot. So
yeah,
whatever they did, it worked.
I agree with you. I think whatever that fan may have been causing more of a problem than helping in this instance. Now, one of the other things that I wanted to share was this. I think I kept everybody up to date on the process to send it back. And let me tell you, you got to dot your I's, cross your T's, go back, do it over again. All right. That's how much of a process it is. All right. Here's what I had to do in a nutshell. I'll give you guys a Reader's Digest version. I had to send them 6 pictures of the aircraft. One of the pictures had to be of the bottom, but specifically of the screws, so they could see that it wasn't tampered with. All right. Also had to take picture of the aircraft serial number, which is in the battery compartment, and the build date, and also on the back of the remote, the build date on that. Had to take all those pictures. Had to send them the black box files, which is just the log files from the Fimi, but they wanted it in mass, so I have WinZip, so I zipped it up and got that in the email. They also had a detailed form to fill out as well, and what was nice was they put red asterisks in sections that they wanted you to fill out. I didn't have to fill everything out because there was some information that wasn't needed because it wasn't an accident per se. My drone didn't crash. I mean, but they wanted a lot of information on there. Okay. And then it wasn't 24 hours. I got an email back from them. We're going to go ahead and replace it. And here's your instructions. Okay. And now I have to mail it back. And, I know some of the guys in the chat know this. It cost me $56 to mail this back to China. Had to do it U.S. Postal Service. For some reason, they're better with customs than FedEx or UPS. I don't know why. I can't answer that question. And they need a tracking number. Now, they said when they get the tracking number, that means that my new one will ship back to me. And in order to compensate me for the $56, okay, Fimi is being very generous in sending me a new battery. So I still have another battery on its way, Marcus. So I'm going to have 4 batteries for this. So, the more the merrier as far as that's concerned. Well, I haven't heard anything from Fimi. So I did get a reply back from them today. I was, curious as, what's going on here, guys? Why haven't we seen anything? Now I finally find out what's going on here. My contact's name is Amy there. Hi, sorry to keep you waiting. We need to test the drone before sending, but it's typhoon weather these days, not suitable to fly. We'll try to send you the parcel and keep you posted for the tracking number ASAP once available. Sorry for the inconvenience caused. Best regards here. Okay. Now I was telling Marcus in the pre-show, they're having flooding in China, in Western China, and I'm sure that's where and now they're in Shenzhen, and Shenzhen is the drone capital of the world. Believe it or not, Hubsan is there too. DJI is there. All the other small players are there as well too. That's where all your drones are manufactured. The majority of them are over there, and I'm sure probably hotels are manufactured over there as well. Now, what was real interesting here was they're going to test fly it before they send it to me, which I thought, it's like I double pack, get me my drone, but on one hand, but on the other hand, Marcus, they're testing it before they send it to me. So I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, well, I guess they want to see what's wrong with it. So, but what would the alternative be? In other words, I'm not sure why they wouldn't already send you a replacement, because one way or another, they would either have to send you your drone back, or anyway. So it's a little bit odd, but it will be interesting to see what they come back with, and if they find out if it's a bad component or what it might be.
Now, see, I think, and this is where I'm confused. Okay, I'm gonna put this back up on the screen again, because I read this through a couple of times, and where she said, we need to test the drone before sending. Okay, so I think what they meant by that was they're going to take the new one out of the box and test it.
Oh, that could be
before they do that. So, which I found very interesting, and I think that's a good. I think you'd agree that's a good thing, them doing that.
Yeah, I was thinking about that wrong, Bill. I was thinking they were going to test your drone
coming back. Yeah. Now they said, through the postal service, which was nice. I had to fill out a form, Marcus. It took me 2.5 to 3 hours to fill out that form. It's through the postal service. Okay. Now, it's all online, which is great. And they pick up at your front porch, which is great. Okay. No complaints there. But boy, if you checked one box, 5 come up on the other side. And, if you didn't check a box, you couldn't proceed. No, it was just, you had to declare $40 for the value of it. So what can I say here? I mean, it is what it is. But that's where we are in the Fimi right now. So, I will definitely keep you guys posted, and be on the lookout for Marcus with that video, because I am really eager to. I mean, I love seeing him doing the Snake River Canyon anytime, any day of the week. Okay, but when this is one I've been looking forward to probably as much or even more than a Snake River Canyon video, because it's really comparing these two, and I'm real anxious to see that, because I've heard some anecdotal stuff in the group, but no one, we'll get the straight scoop from Marcus. So after you do that, Marcus, we definitely want to have you on so you can expound upon that. So
yeah, I'd be happy to, Bill. In fact, what you're talking about is, I've been kind of thinking about that. Where should I do the comparison at? And it might be worth it to go back to the Snake River Canyon with both those drones, because for the reason is that, because I've flown them both there before, people are used to that, what it looks like or what it should look like, and it might be a good way to compare them. Or I've thought about going to a completely different location, but I'll get that figured out.
Well, before we move on, I want to thank Bill from Metro Drones for his super chat. Bill, thank you so much. We really appreciate you, and the drone community appreciates you. I know, you're on a lot of, you're a guest on a lot of shows. I mean, you're in the chat and everything, and you're a great member of the drone community. So we really appreciate that. All right, we're going to kind of switch gears here. Now we're talking DJI stuff tonight, and that's where we're going to spend the bulk of the rest of the evening here. Now, as you're all well aware of, our favorite drone this year. Okay, that's something I think Marcus, Ron, myself, and 9 out of 10 drone reviewers right now are going to tell you our favorite drone this year is the DJI Mavic Air 2. There's just there's no gray area here. Okay, it's definitely 100% in this direction. Okay, this is the drone. It's like, remember that little kid story, the little engine that could. Okay, well, this is the drone that could, and it does it really well, kind of a thing. Now, I want to go over the firmware update, because some of you may not be familiar exactly with all the details. So I pulled up the release notes. I wanted to make sure you guys have this information. Now, I did share this in my last video on the Mavic Air 2 with the zoom, and I'm going to go over this here. Now, I can blow this up just I'm going to blow this up just a tad here. Now, the aircraft firmware, I'm going to go over the numbers here. Aircraft and remote are V01.00.0340, and the app on both iOS and Android is V1.1.6. Now let's go over what's new, and I'm going to bring this up so you guys can probably see it better here. Added safety flight mode. The aircraft avoids obstacles automatically and will not respond to commands to fly left or right. Okay, and that's in APAS. Added 4K zoom mode, which supports 2 times digital zoom when set to 4K 30, 25, 24 frames per second. Added 2 times digital zoom when set to 2.7K, 60, 50, 48, 30, 25, 24, and 4 times digital zoom when set to 1080p, 60, 50, 48, 30, 25, 24 in video mode. Added 4K resolution in hyperlapse, okay? Optimized FPV mode for gimbal. Optimize shooting performance when flying forward in sport mode. Adjust the flight attitude to avoid propellers unexpectedly showing up in the camera view. Optimize hyperlapse. Added ability to pause shooting during hyperlapse. Increase the number of waypoints to 45 and added support for task library. Optimize active track when tracking vehicles at low altitude. Marcus, there is just so much in here, and we were talking about this last night on Drone Nation. There's so much. We could do videos the rest of the year. We'd have enough to do videos the rest of the year on the Mavic Air too.
It's the gift that keeps on giving, right? It really is. They really did give us a lot out there. Now, the one feature that people may kind of discount a little bit, and they shouldn't, is that feature of being able to disable the left and right movement on the stick. So if you're trying to go a specific direction, it's so easy to do what they call cross coupling. In other words, that right stick, if you don't have it pushed straight up or straight down for reverse, it's so easy to have it a little bit to one side or a little bit to the other, and then you're banking or rolling that direction. By being able to disable that, there are a number of instances that's going to save you having to worry about that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, it's like, immediately, and I think everybody is drawn to the zoom part here, okay? Because when you think about this, all right, this is something that, firmware updates are not unexpected, especially when a drone is as new as the Mavic Air 2. That's something we expect, okay? But the zoom, I mean, this was just like right out of left field. Boom, here it is. And it's like, okay, because I know Ron and Marcus have had the Anafi, and it has the zoom on it, and I've seen their videos, and they've enjoyed it, and it's like, until you get it and until you try it out, you don't know how good it is. And I got a new video coming out probably tomorrow with the zoom, and I used the scroll wheel with it. Guys, I'm telling you, this is like another Christmas gift. It's a Christmas in August here. It's just insane what it can do. And I also did sport mode as well too, and I'll let you guys watch the video when I come out with it. But I mean, it's I can't say it. We could have shows the rest of the year on the Mavic Air 2, Marcus. Both on Drone Nation and here on Rotor Talk, and we'd still have enough to talk about. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah.
Well, I haven't tried. The one feature I love hyperlapse. Okay. And I really want to try out the new features of hyperlapse. So that's going to be my third video on this. I mean, here we are. I'm talking like I could probably, there's probably going to be at least 10 good videos out of this. Okay. And, and then we still have the smart controller to look for. Okay. Because DJI's, they've pretty much written that in stone that they're, that it's going to work with the Mavic Air 2. So, I mean, it's like this gift just keeps on giving. And, and this is building up for our last subject of the night. So be remembering this when we talk about this here, because, when DJI comes out with something like this, I mean, this is groundbreaking. This is earth-shattering. And we were talking about it last night. It's like Ron was asking me, when do you remember the last time that they came out with an update to the app, the DJI Fly app, and had such a significant firmware update so close together? Marcus, I can't remember it.
Yeah, no, this is the most significant app and firmware update in combination I think that I've seen on any DJI drone that's brought us that many features. And as you said, the one big one is left, and that's making that smart controller compatible with the Fly app, and hence the Mavic Air 2. That'll complete that deal for me. It's just a fun drone to fly, and it tends to it's kind of sucked all the air out of the room. However, the other day I got a little nostalgic for the Mavic Mini, and so I took it out for a couple of flights too, and it there's a lot of goodness in that little guy too.
Oh yeah, and my only thing, and see, the thing for me down here is, and I've shared this with you guys, Florida has tendency, especially when you live. Now, I'm probably about 6 miles from the coast, the Gulf Coast here. When you're near the coast, even though I'm like 6 miles inland, it still gets quite windy here at times. I mean, and that is unfortunately the Achilles heel with the Mini is wind, and that darn warning that comes up all the time when you take the Mini up. I mean, it's just you want to almost scream sometimes. It's like you get up, you're getting a great shot of something like a sunset or something, and then you get that high wind warning like once, then twice, then 3 times, and it gets to really pester you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I had some fairly significant winds the other day when I was flying it out at the canyon, and I did get a couple of those warnings, but not nearly as many as I thought I would. And interestingly enough, Bill, I was talking to Ron Brown earlier today. He flew his today over the coast there in New Jersey, and he said he didn't get a single wind warning. Now, one of the things that I think both you and Ron have reported is that you get a vibration in the controller when you get that warning. I've never had that on mine, so I don't know.
Wow. I mean, yeah. I mean, you feel it. I mean, there's no question. I mean, it's telling you, you got to stop, and you got to bring it home. And it's just like, I put it out there, for me, and this is just remembering fondly my childhood. It's like, I'm either at my friend's house or, my friends are over and we're just, playing ball outside or doing something, and mom says, it's time to come in, and it's just like, no, it's not time to come in. You can't see anymore. You want to bet we can see? Well, look who joined us right now. Mr. Ron Brown. How are you, sir?
Well, how are you gentlemen doing tonight?
Well, we're talking about our favorite subject, the Mavic Air 2 right now. So, and
the drone of the year.
The drone of the year. Absolutely. I mean, there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it as far as that's concerned. I mean, so how are you this evening, Ron?
Well, doing well. We had a pretty nice day down here at the Jersey Shore. Weather wasn't too hot, which is always good in August. So how's everything been in Florida?
Well, it was kind of muggy today, and we had some thunderstorms. I mean, it's like we need the rain. I mean, I think I was chatting with Stephen Ewing on your show last night, and I was telling him, he said he said he'll send something. I said, please, we'll take it, because we're at the point where they're going to start issuing warnings for wildfires down here. I mean, see, people don't think wildfires happen in Florida, but that's besides like hurricanes, that's like the number one kind of natural disaster down here is wildfires, because it gets dry so much.
I didn't know that. I'm getting an education tonight.
You're getting an education tonight. Well, we were talking about the Mavic Air 2, and just, I was telling Marcus, we have enough content as it is to have enough videos to probably last us 3 or 4 months on this firmware update.
Right, we could just become the Mavic Air show and just not talk about other.
Yeah, we're gonna have to change the names of the shows.
Listen, I have some inside information, Bill. I know that our friend Ron Brown did some pretty cool stuff with that Mavic Air 2 today.
Oh boy,
might have to do with a little bit of dolly zoom.
Oh,
Get away without telling us that story, Ron.
yeah, bro. You know, we're gonna twist Ron's arm here.
Well, I got up a little early this morning and went down to the beach. I actually did a range test with the Mavic Mini with the Yagi antennas, but I'll say that for later. But the second part of it, I moved a couple streets down to Lucy the elephant. So I thought she would be a good model. Would that be the right word for the dolly zoom? So I put it up, and I watched. Of course, Air Photography was the first video I watched that did the dolly zoom, and then Chad B did a nice dolly zoom video too. And Marcus tried a little bit in his latest video, even though he didn't think he did well on it because he didn't use the one feature I was talking about in a minute. Still, he got a couple seconds of real good dolly zoom before the camera went down. So I kind of had an idea of what to do. So under Marcus's advice, I used the feature in the Mavic Air to the spotlight feature. And you go to the if you're looking at the screen, you go to the right, and there's a little icon that lets you orbit. And so I started an orbit around Lucy, and then while she was orbiting, I used the function button and the gimbal wheel to scroll in and out. Which that's a Mikey from Philly Drone Life. He debuted that feature almost a week ago on his channel. So by combining what I've learned on everybody else's videos, I got some really smooth in and out on on Lucy. But actually later on in the video, I went down to one of the high rises on the beach, and I actually did better there because I actually was able to fly it straight forward and back and zoom in and out and not have the camera go down. I don't know what I did not to have the camera go down. When I'm orbiting Lucy, I'm moving, but I'm not necessarily always moving closer or away from her. It still looked good, but it didn't quite look as good as I did on the building later on.
I'm anxious. I am super anxious to see that.
Well, I mean, if you guys get talking, I'll try to get a little snippet up that you can show tonight here.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Great.
The other thing that Marcus and I were talking about, and I'll let you go ahead and see if you can bring that snippet up. Is just this is just it's as we talked about last night, and you made a good point, and I just talked about this with Marcus, was the timing of the DJI Fly app update and then having the firmware update for the Mavic Air 2, and it's just like I can't remember since I've been flying DJI drones, and having both of those kind of updates in such a short amount of time. Number one, and number two, having a firmware update as rich as this one. I mean, this is like.
It kind of reminds me of the old Seinfeld episodes when worlds collide. Remember that? When worlds collide. Yeah, I forget what the episode was, but George going, when worlds collide, Jerry. And that's what happened. Kind of the app and the firmware update, worlds collided, and it made something. Again, I keep saying this, but it turned the Mavic Air 2 basically into the Mavic Air 2 Pro or the Pro Zoom or whatever. They basically, other companies would have made this a hardware thing, and they charged us more money for it, where DJI just gave it to us for free.
Yeah. See, and here's the thing, it's like their marketing is, that's another aspect that you kind of think of here. And this is something we're going to touch on this here in just a couple of minutes. But their marketing has been so spot on with this and has planned this out the rest of the year. Okay. And, we still have yet to get the smart controller on. I mean, and Marcus and I were just talking about that as well. So, and obviously, we know from, I think from talking with Lauren, I know Lon Dennard has talked about it as well, that there were some issues because getting the DJI Fly app on the smart controller, and smart controller is an Android type of device. So, they were working on the code with that. So that's where I guess the bottleneck has come up with this. But, I'm sure they'll get this resolved. And here's the other thing, okay? This is one of the other things too. For all we've said about the Fly app, all right, the stability of it is pretty doggone good because, I remember early on when I got my Mavic Pro, my original Mavic Pro, there was a lot of people would hesitate anytime, there was an app update to take it because they were afraid something was going to happen to the drone because there was a lot of, this is back in 2017.
Right.
There were a lot of people that would just hit the pause button and wait for a week before they would even consider even an app update, which, you know, now it's like most people now with the Fly app. I mean, it's been, you know, I have to say this, I haven't really, except for our, you know, visual issues, there really hasn't been any issues, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and Marcus and I talked about this a little bit off air about the smart controller and them getting working. You know, it's a big deal to us because we own smart controllers and so on. But I bet you, what do you think, Bill? I'm just guessing. Probably 10 to 15% of the people own an OcuSync 2 drone actually own a smart controller, and we don't know that number, but DJI knows that number, and they're probably thinking, well, wait a minute, we can roll all these updates out like the zoom feature and you know, and the advanced APS, and that's going to affect 100% of the users of this app. Where we can roll out this smart controller firmware update, and it's going to affect a small percentage, 10, 15, 20%. So they prioritize 100% of the users over a small subsection of the users that own a smart controller. Does that make any sense, Bill?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Go ahead, Marcus.
Well, that's why Ron gets the big bucks. He has those kind of insights, Bill, that you and I don't think of.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, what DJI also knows, as soon as they get the Mavic Air 2 on the smart controller, they're going to start selling more smart controllers. So it is a financial interest to them, behoove them to get this working. But again, you know, from the good point, you know, the engineers and the people in charge over there, well, let's give a firmware that's going to help everybody out first, rather than update that's going to help a few people out.
Now, Lon just posted in the chat, he already has the Fly app on the smart controller, and it seems stable. We just need the dang firmware on the Mavic Air 2. And he's right. That's I guess where the bottleneck is.
So evidently he side-loaded that with it.
Yeah, he side-loaded it on there. So
yeah.
That's interesting that it works. That's a good thing.
Yeah, that is a good thing, which will tell you that they've been working on it. Now you guys haven't mentioned a couple of things that were a big deal to me on the app update. And Bill, I can't believe you didn't mention this one, and that's that battery meter up there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, is that a boon?
We touched a little bit on it last night, but didn't go into big details. And that would have been a headline feature if they wouldn't have added some of the other stuff.
Yeah, it would.
The nice thing about that battery thing, the Mini got that too. So that's a good feature for 2 drones, not just one.
Yeah. Now, interestingly, though, Ron, you just led me right into the next point, and that is that it gave us adjustability of yaw speed and gimbal pitch speed and smoothness on both of those for the Mavic Air 2. But I was hoping that it would be on the Mavic Mini, and when I was flying the Mavic Mini the other day, gosh, I had a couple of really weird yaws, and so I thought, okay, I'm going to go in there and adjust that. That adjustability for the yaw is not in there for the Mini.
Yeah,
I hope they get that done.
Well, it's going to need a firmware update, and keep this a secret, guys. It's a lot of chatter on the internet that the Mavic Mini firmware update is going to drop any day now, and that's going to fix a lot of the things you just talked about. Now, you didn't hear this from me or whatever, and I didn't get this from Lauren, so don't be pestering Lauren or whatever. But yeah, there's probably going to be a firmware update for the Mini. It's going to, you know, just like the Air 2 is going to add the stuff that's built into the app into the firmware, and we're going to see some improvements in a little Mini here sooner than later.
Now, you know, I'm going to kind of lead. This is a segue here, and talk about DJI's having some restructuring that's going on. Now, I'm going to pull up an article here, but before I do that, you know, one of the ways. Now, because DJI is a privately held company, they don't have to reveal their profit and loss statement or anything because they're private, okay? But one of the ways that I kind of got a clue was last year, Sally French, my good friend, she posted what, what's the name of the one app that's out there? Begins with a K.
An app for what? Concerning what?
Kitty Hawk, okay?
Kitty Hawk,
okay. And what it did was it broke it down by drone type, okay? and it showed obviously DJI had the market share. And you know who was second? And it kind of blew me away. I mean, totally blew me away. This is something that just, it was so out of the blue. I'd never thought it would even register. Unique was second on there. Okay, for the registered drones. All right, yeah, that kind of blew me away. But my point.
So how many unique drones do you own?
Yeah, I've never had one. Okay, and that's probably, we'll see. What didn't they have? You know, some of their smaller ones that had been out. So they're probably,
everybody had that little. Everybody had that little unique that kind of like was kind of a pre-Spark. It came out before the Spark. Yeah. It kind of did a lot of things Spark, but I mean, it was nowhere as good as Spark. But a lot of people had that little unique, and then some people had that big hexacopter.
Yeah. Well, okay. One thing that I could tell, and this got me to thinking, are my groups out there. All right. Now, my group that has the biggest growth, and it's almost like every day, and it almost seems like some days I'll get over 40 to 50 people join it, is the Mavic Mini group. Okay. The popularity of that drone, like as we all predicted, we all sat here on one of the shows, whether it was Drone Nation or here, we all said, you know, it's going to sell like hotcakes. It's not going to stop. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, the number 2 group that's still growing, okay, and I don't think this will be a surprise to you guys, all right, is the Mavic Air 2 group, okay, because of the price point, okay, that price point of $799, you know, do I have to shell out, you know, $1,500 for a Mavic 2 Pro when I can get almost all those features for $799 and a Mavic Air 2? And everybody, it's like, here's the Mavic Air 2. And the number 3 group is the Mavic 2 group, okay? So, you know, just kind of bear this in mind here. Now, the first article that I want to pull up here is, now, you know, DJI had some restructuring. And, you know, anytime you hear that word restructuring, it's like, ooh, you kind of, you know, get that here. Now, the layoff started in March when Frank Wang had instructed the incoming VP of marketing to cut 2/3 of marketing and sales staff. 2 senior DJI executives left early this year. 2 of them, one was from VP of North America and Europe. The other one, Chief Development Officer. Now DJI also responded to this by what they said was a story from Reuters has created some inaccurate impressions of how DJI has faced this year's challenging business environment. They employ 14,000 people. They talk about their structure growing, and I'll drop links to the articles, you know, after we're done here tonight. They talked about how the pandemic affected this and how they had to restructure. DJI does not discuss its financial performance or personnel decisions, so they're unable to respond to some details in the story. They continue to hire for new positions and remain a highly regarded employer for dynamic talent pool in Shenzhen. They've always moved colleagues from China to other countries and vice versa in order to strengthen our global knowledge, improve collaboration, and help our employees achieve their full potential. This means we have German, French, American, and other non-Chinese colleagues leading teams at our headquarters, as well as Chinese colleagues working in our regional offices around the world. So, you know, they're because that Reuters article was pretty, you know, it was pretty intense. You know, I don't know if you guys saw that or not, but, you know, they talked about so many people that they cut in North America, and, you know, and it pretty much was painting a doom and gloom kind of a picture here that, you know, basically, oh, they're leaving North America, they're leaving consumer drones, and, you know, it's not going to happen here. Okay. You know, I know Lauren said that. I know, you know, DJI's come out and just said that, you know, DJI's going nowhere, guys. You know, look at the money that they pull in from these drones, you know?
Yeah, I'm practicing my Mandarin, so you know, it'll look good on the job application.
But, you know, restructurings happen, okay? And this is a year, okay? This is the year of, and I saw a T-shirt on Facebook the other day, a picture of a T-shirt you can buy, and it had review of 2020 on it. It said not acceptable, you know, with a check mark at the bottom, okay? You know, it's been the year that nobody could ever figure out. Okay, it has been, I think you guys would agree in your lifetimes, it's the craziest year we've ever had. Absolutely insanity. I mean, pure insanity. I mean,
unprecedented.
Yeah, it's just it's crazy. COVID-19, masks, racial strife. Combine that with an election, and it's just like it's like
highest jobless rates is depression. What we say, it's the pandemic of 1918, the economy of the Great Depression, and the rate crash of the 60s all popped up at once. And there's no political slant here. Just
Yeah, exactly. It's all, this is something we've been facing this year. So of course, a company's going to restructure. I keep reading some of these companies that have been around for a while. I was reading today. You guys, I know both you guys have been to Cheesecake Factory. Am I right?
They just brought him here. I don't know. Like in the last 10, 20 years, and I've never got in because when they first opened, you couldn't get in because the lines were so long, and now I just lost interest.
Yeah,
I moved away from it. Actually, there's not one probably within like 50 miles of me now.
Oh, okay. Well, it's like that used to be the place to go. There's one out by the mall by us, and it's just like, it's kind of like PF Chang's. Okay, it's like a destination. They're talking about bankruptcy because of COVID, obviously because of COVID-19. The airlines, okay, they're all struggling. All right, every one of them, and and the government's having to help them out. Otherwise,
so everybody's in the same basket. But let me ask you this, Bill: do you think the restructuring has anything to do at all, even the slightest bit, with kind of it seems like the U.S. government's war with DJI over, we'll call surveillance, spying, or whatever, however you want to say it? Do you think any of this restructuring has to do with that kind of war with the government, or you think it's totally unrelated?
I think it's this part of it is unrelated. However, what I think it is related, okay, is this as far as tariffs and embargo and all this kind of stuff. Okay, it's a ping pong match right now. Okay, and I know the federal government's singled out Huawei. All right, the Chinese phone manufacturer, with good cause, because that's been shown to gather data. Okay, and that TikTok app, which I've never touched, and I've that's the same thing. That's gathering data. I mean, that's just.
So are you a TikTok expert, Bill?
Oh, good Lord, no!
Old guys,
no, not even close. Okay,
I know people keep getting around. I was just looking at it. I really don't. I actually outside. I know play short videos. I don't know anything else. I don't care to know anything else. I don't care if they sell it, don't sell it.
Ron, what you're telling us is you're old. Me too. I'm in the same boat.
If Microsoft wants to buy it, fine. They don't buy it. I don't care.
Yeah, and see, okay, all this.
We should pull our money together and buy it.
Yeah. With all this being said, it's like, people, and this is, and I'm not going to say political. People are hyperventilating over news right now. Whatever kind of news, and people were hyperventilating over this. Now, there is cause for concern, but it's been shown multiple times regarding DJI that, they've gone through several audits. Okay. And it's shown that their drones aren't sending back data. All right. And I even had, when I had Brendan Schulman on, from DJI, who I thoroughly enjoyed, and probably going to have him on again sometime. He reiterated the same thing. There have been at least 2 independent studies. And I think, it was one of those Booz Allen Hamilton, one of the most respected, accounting firms in the world, did an independent audit, and they were fine. They didn't find anything.
I believe me, it was something, this from the computer industry, when they would claim, phones or computers would have chips in them, something. So people, besides the government, independent news gathering services have taken DJI apart bit by bits. And if they would have found something in there, they would have gone wild with the stories about finding the chip, and that would be the headline for weeks or whatever. So they would love to find something in there, because that's news. What's not news is we took the whole thing apart and there was not one thing in there that shouldn't have been in there. So it's nothing in there, because it would always be somebody's big headline.
So, it's that old line from William Shakespeare, much ado about nothing. Okay. It's the whole world's going through it right now. So, it's like, people just need that. Reuters article was just overblowing and hyperventilating and just making too much out of this. Now, this is going to lead us to the last subject that we're going to talk about tonight, and the DJI Mavic 3 in 2021. Now, I was setting this up, and I did this in order, and I did it on purpose because, we know what DJI has given us with the Mavic Air 2. All right. It has been an extraordinary drone. All right. Just extraordinary. We have enough, even without the smart controller, to do videos for the next several months on that. Okay. And to look at all the nooks and crannies of the wonderful gift that they've given us. I mean, it's just like, I want to get out there and do that. My next one's going to be the dolly zoom. And then I'm going to want to do APAS and, and then the different hyperlapses we can do now, and on and on and on. And then we have the smart controller to go with it. So, it's just like, it's incredible what we have on that right now. Okay. Now, there was an article that Hay put out on this, and I want to touch on this a little bit here. DJI Mavic 3 Pro to replace the Phantom 4 Pro, and likely also the Inspire 2 drone, which was kind of interesting. Okay. The Mavic 3 is expected to arrive in 2 versions, a regular and a DJI Mavic 3 Pro. Both versions will make the Phantom 4 Pro obsolete, but the Mavic 3 Pro is even expected to replace the aging Inspire 2. DJI, the Inspire 2 still uses light bridge technology, which is old. And, it's nothing like OcuSync 2. It's also been rumored that the new Mavic 3 Pro will have interchangeable lenses and may be working on a stabilized zoom lens option. I think if these rumors become reality, Mavic 3 Pro will surely mean the end of the Inspire 2 series. Now, they said Phantom 4 Pro production will be stopped at that point as well, and DJI might only opt to keep producing the Phantom 4 RTK and P4 multispectral. Okay. So, I just kind of wanted to touch upon that just for a minute here. But, one of the things here is timing. Okay. The timing is not right. Okay. Let's, we'll take some things into account. First of all, the Mavic Air 2, you don't want to step on the sales of the Mavic Air 2. I'm getting new members every day in that group, which tells me people are buying that drone. And if people are looking to buy a drone, like between a Mavic 2 and a Mavic Air 2, they're buying the Mavic Air 2 right now, guys. I mean, it's a slam dunk. It really is, especially, with the Mavic 2 Zoom. Okay. Nobody's going to be buying the Zoom right now. Everybody's going to buy the Mavic Air 2. All right. There's the first thing. All right. Now, the other thing is COVID-19. All right. Now, and I'm going to say this, and this isn't political, it's like Congress is probably going to get out some more stimulus money to everybody, okay, which is a good thing. And the idea behind the stimulus money is to spend that and get the economy going, okay? Everybody knows that kind of stuff, okay? Now, I know for you guys and for me, it's like, okay, the first thing I think when I get stimulus money is, if I said new drone to Valerie, okay, you'd be seeing a hole in my head right here. Okay. We're thinking about things like, maybe we have hurricane season coming up, and we're thinking about getting like an inverter or a generator. So in case we lose power, to have something like that, there's a lot of things, and that'll definitely help the economy. So, a new drone is, and I would think, for us, especially over $1,000 drone, it's on way down on that list. Now, here's another thing. All right. And this is something I know Marcus has talked about this too. And, talked about that $1,000 threshold. Well, also too, with what our good old friends at the FAA are doing with remote ID. Okay. We don't know what's really going to come of that right now. So, it's probably good. DJI is probably very good to just cool their heels on this until 2021. Hopefully the pandemic will be a thing of the past by then. We'll have a vaccine and therapeutics, and we'll be done, and we can move on from that. The economy will get picked up again, and things will remain, gather some semblance of normality. What are your guys' thoughts on this?
Well, everything that you said, I think, is valid, Bill. The only other thing that I'll add to it is they could also, they're talking about, two different versions of it, one more professional and one not. Now, I put myself square in that consumer boat. I'll just be honest with you. I do not need a drone with interchangeable lenses and so forth. It's just nothing of my skill level that I would be able to use. Now, a 1-inch sensor, I can see how that might be something pretty cool. But beyond that, and so it depends on what kind of home run feature they're going to put in that thing that makes it. And it was, we've said before, DJI always does that. They put something in there that we didn't know we needed till we see it, and we go, "Yep, that." And like Ted Bowman is saying in the chat right now, it's just what you just said, Bill. The Air is selling so well, they don't want to mess that up. And I think you and I have the same source, Bill, on DJI rumors. That individual may or may not be in the chat right now, but I'm thinking probably it'll be late winter or early spring before we see something, and that even could be dependent on what happens with the economy.
Yeah, absolutely. Ron, what about your thoughts?
Well, you guys already speculated on the release date of the Mavic 3, but I guess my point would be: do you guys realize if it is an interchangeable lens drone, you realize that they won't be able to sell for $1,500 or $1,600? That's going to take it to a whole other price level. And I know you read the thing that they're going to be two different models, so maybe they can keep the base Mavic 3 model at around the current price now of the Mavic 2 Pro. But that other one with the interchangeable lenses, you might as well, I'm just ballparking, throw an extra $1,000 on it. Now you've got yourself a between $26 to say $29,900 drone, and that's before you buy the extra lenses. Like maybe they give you like a kit lens or whatever, but you want to add a zoom or ultra wide angle or something like that too. You're talking, by the time you get everything equipped or whatever, you could be in the $4,000 to $5,000 ballpark. And I guess that makes sense from the standpoint if they're going to eliminate like a pro level drone like the Inspire. I guess that makes sense, but it's a big leap to take the Mavic line that far the other direction. I don't know. I don't kind of understand that marketing. I'm not saying that wouldn't be a great drone that I'd want to have, but I don't understand the marketing of stretching the Mavic line, even the Mavic Pro line, that far away from where we're at now.
So Ron, I think like what you're saying is when you think about a Mavic, you think of it as a consumer drone, not as a commercial product, right?
Even like the Mavic, the Mavic 2 Pro, we call it the Pro, but it's more like a semi-pro. You know what I mean? It's for it's semi-professional drone. Yes, realtors can do great things with it, and maybe other type of professionals. But I don't know if they're using it on movie sets or TV production sets, whatever, where they do want those lenses and filters and things like that. I'm talking way out of my class here since I don't do any of that type of stuff. But again, I'm not saying it's not coming. I'm just not sure that that's the right move to have a Mavic 3 with an interchangeable lens system or whatever, that we now see on the Aspire and the Matrice and the above. And then they have to format it. And I think that, again, I don't know really much about the Aspire up, but I think the Aspire uses the micro four thirds lenses or whatever, which I guess are more affordable than the full frame or the crop sensor lenses. But still, you have to decide the lens system. Then what if you, like if that's not the camera system you use as a land-based photographer, then you got different lenses. I don't know. I just see that direction being a difficult direction to take the Mavic line of drones. And maybe I'm all wrong.
No, you make some points, Ron, and I think what DJI is probably trying to hint out here, and they've been doing this, okay, because obviously the Phantom 4 line in and of itself, as far as consumer drones, beyond the V2.0 is gone. It's let's get a tombstone up and put it up there, and I think they're kind of ringing the bell loud and clear that mobilization is key here. And how much easier, and I know since you both have owned a Phantom 4, how much easier is it to take a Mavic 2 series drone and with you versus a Mavic or Phantom 4? I mean, that's an obvious kind of question. I mean, that's like that's totally a no-brainer. So being able to get that form factor and being able to say just maybe tweak it an inch here or an inch there, or whatever they need to do, and to be able to put the technology that would exist, say, in an Inspire 2, and put that in that type of a platform with a comprehensive set, a 1-inch sensor, a real robust camera and lens system on there, and like Ron would say, expect that to start out at about $2,500. I mean, that's not going to be, and that may not even be offered as a consumer type of an option. Okay. That would probably be, you would probably have to contact an authorized DJI dealer to probably even buy that. I'm just guessing at that, because I know that's what it is with the Enterprise series of drones, the Mavic 2. You have to contact a dealer to be able to buy those. You can't go to the store and buy something like that. I think
not one sitting on the shelf at Best Buy.
No, you can't go to Best Buy and pick one up. So I think I kind of get where DJI is going with this, and I think the other thing too, and I think it was alluded to in the article, talking about Lightbridge. Lightbridge is old technology as far as the communication protocols between the drone and a controller. Okay, with this, this is all in one. Now, I can tell you this after having been around people that have flown Inspires. When I went out with Mel and he was flying his Inspire 1, there's two controllers there. Okay, one person is controlling the drone and another person is controlling the camera. I mean, the controllers are identical, but the other one is basically just geared towards the camera. Okay, and I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's getting. I think DJI is making things easier, okay, and I also think having two people there, versus having one there, there's so much functionality that they're adding. I mean, I know I call them gimmicks, and I kind of get that from my dad.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the Mavic line has that capability too of the double controller, I believe.
Yeah, it does.
I've never tried it, but I believe it does.
Yeah, it does. You're correct on that, Ron. It's like, my dad would always say that. And I think kind of what he meant by that was, okay, what you have here in this instance is, you have, this technology that has served well. Okay. And, it's kind of time to like, okay, we're going to put that on the shelf. We're going to retire it. Here's another thing. Okay. And I can tell you this, and I've talked with Billy about this. Guys, doing a firmware update on an Inspire 2, you're going to spend the whole night updating it. I mean, there's like I think 3 or 4 things that you have to do to update firmware on the drone itself. All right. It's just, there's a lot to it. I mean, it's not an easy process versus, here's the Mavic 2, get out my cable. I bring up the DJI app here to download the firmware update from my PC, which I always recommend doing, and it's kind of a seamless process to do that. And it's just, you might have to update the remote with that or not. But then here again also too is, the smart controller working with the Mavic 3, making this OcuSync 2.0. So, there's a lot of pluses, I think, to this. Are they going to go and replace the Inspire 2? I don't know. I think this is, Hay is just kind of projecting here. We don't know something like that.
Well, you do know the Inspire is long in the tooth, and if they were going to update it, it would be in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, in that in Lightbridge is old technology. OcuSync 2.0. That's the way they're going. DJI's made it very clear.
Billy advised on one of the shows. He said that again, the Inspire's 4 or 5 year old technology. He would not recommend it anybody buying it over the Mavic 2 Pro at this point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Marcus, any kind of thoughts on this?
Well, really not much more. You guys pretty much covered it all. We're just all going to have to wait and see what they come up with. And, like we've all said before, is we know they're going to surprise us with something, right? There'll be some feature about that drone that we're going to go, gosh darn, I want that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and I would say this too, okay? They are aware of that as far as the consumer space is concerned. So you're going to get a lot of bang for that buck. Let's say there are two versions of it, for that $1,600 version. There's going to be a lot of bang for the buck in that, okay? And here's the other thing, all right? With all the, I wanted to say this in closing about this segment. We'll kind of wrap this up here. All the orbit features and those nice things, okay? Think about this. They're there, extrapolating this to say a Mavic 3 Pro, and you can use these features as a professional videographer. Say you're filming a car chase scene, or a boat chase scene, or something along those lines, or someone up on a mountain, doing rock climbing for a video. I mean, having that tracking capability, and a good tracking capability, is priceless. And you guys know that with the Skydio. So I think that's one of the things that we're going to see with this is it's going to have an advanced tracking capability that's going to rival Skydio 2. I know that because Frank Wang, his mindset is he wants to be the best. Okay. There's just.
Right. And he's only going to be the best for a while, because I'm sure Skydio is hard at work on their next, not only drone, or big operating system updates. So there, he needs to catch up for a little while. And let me just in closing just say that I hope the Mavic 3's big selling point is an 8K video.
Yeah. I don't see. I think
I'm not sure it can have it, but that better not be the selling feature.
The home run feature, yeah.
Oh, by the way, there's an 8K button in here if you want it. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But don't sell me that I need to have 8K video.
No, absolutely not. One of the things I want to do before we wrap things up here tonight, I want to get this up here. We all had a wonderful time last week. I got to say this: we had the cream of the crop last week here, folks. We had Kelly on, we had Ron and Marcus on, we had Rick Smith on last week, we had Ken Dono on. I mean, the only one that was missing was Billy. It was definitely it was one of those, and it was such a good panel, and we had such a great time and a great discussion. I'm thinking
about testing the Mavic 3, but he's under DNA, so.
I was toying around with the idea of probably trying to do something like this again, maybe closer to the holidays, and kind of have a little bit of a festive spirit and wrap the year up, and really kick 2020 in the can and welcome 2021 with open arms.
Santa Claus on one of the windows for that episode.
Yeah, I'll have Valerie wear a Santa Claus hat,
or find a person in the community who's got the greatest beard and invite him on.
Well, one of the good things was I had some giveaways last week, and I want to go ahead and share with everybody who the winners were. Now, I have heard from
the chat here, Captain Ray Kelly.
Captain Ray Kelly, he was the grand prize winner. He got the polo shirt.
Oh wow.
Chris Davies, he got a T-shirt. Minnesota Drone, he got a T-shirt. Bill Sidwell, he got a mug. And I need to move this here. And Sailor Steve, who's from your neck of the woods, Ron,
sure.
He got a mug as well too.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he got like a sailboat or something. That'll be for the 100,000 subscribers.
That's for getting that silver play button. Yeah, that would definitely be along those lines. So again, congratulations to all you guys.
All great people out there.
Absolutely. And then all my co-hosts that night are getting something as well. I'll be sending that in the mail to them. So, thanking them not only for coming on, but, especially for Ron and Marcus. I
think we'll be getting Mavic 3s in the mail.
Mavic 3s in the mail.
that Mavic 3 Pro with the interchangeable lens.
Boy, somebody must have, I must have hit some money from a money tree that I don't know about.
or you're about to go a million subs next week.
Could be, maybe if I get Casey Neistat on, who knows? Just
as subs.
Yeah. Well, seriously, I want to thank both you guys for being on here tonight. I appreciate that a lot. And thank you guys for having me on last night on Drone Nation. That's always a treat. Guys, here's the lineup. Monday nights, Grumpy Vlogger's on at 8, and Mel's usually on with him. Ron and Marcus are on at 9 Eastern time, and they usually have a great series of guests. And more often than not, we get to see Mikey on there. And if you don't like Mikey, well, I'm not going to. I like Mikey. Let's just put it to you that way. Mikey's a great guy. And be sure to tune
3,000 subs recently.
Oh, see, Mikey's growing there, and that's awesome. Tuesday nights, Rotor Talk Live, of course. Wednesday nights, we have Drone Therapy with Mr. Bill Thomas. And then, you can do a split screen and watch our good friend, Original Dobo. He's on at 9 o'clock on Wednesday nights. Ken Heron is on Thursdays. Think it's 7 Eastern or 8. I'm confused, but he's on Thursday nights. Kelly's usually on first Friday night of every month, so watch for Kelly. Artco Drone Solutions, our buddy Art, he's on Saturday nights.
Art's got the Mavic Air too.
Art's got the Mavic Air too, and he has a new video out, so definitely go check that out. And then I think Mel's still on Sunday nights. I haven't.
Sunday nights. Yeah.
Mel's still on Sunday nights. So and Sunday afternoon.
Oh, you forgot the biggest show.
Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock. Our very own Marcus Crawford is on Drone Seekers International. So you need to tune into that and watch that.
We go international once a week.
We go, yeah, absolutely. Well, Marcus, have some closing thoughts, Ron, and then I'll wrap things up.
Yeah, no, everybody, I know we're all dealing with some hot weather right now and COVID and all that other business going on. But you know what? Get that drone out there, go flying, and your cares will just go away. It's a lot of fun. So, get out there and fly a drone. Ron Brown?
I want to thank Bill for having me on tonight, and Marcus for co-hosting with me here, or triple hosting, whatever you want to call it. I want to thank everybody came in to visit the chat tonight. We had a great group, a lot of the names we see every week, the great names that support a lot of these shows. So folks, I'm going to kind of get out here real fast. If you want to, I threw the link in the chat already. Come over for the after party over on the Philly and Ron show, whatever, and maybe I'll actually get the Dolly Zoom video working by then. Who knows? Don't hold me to it. So good night, gentlemen, and I will see you on the next one.
That's right. Thank you, Ron. Thank you so much for stopping by tonight. We appreciate it. It was, and Marcus kind of said it well. It's a lot of the nation is hot. I know California is just like super hot right now. They're even hotter than Florida. The record for power consumption and just, everything that's going on. I mean, COVID-19 and, election and riots and all this, it's mind-boggling. And as Marcus said, and then we had a zoning meeting about an issue going on in our area, and I talked about this with Ron last night. It's just like, I went out after that zoning meeting. We had it online on Zoom. I told Valerie, I said, I need to fly. It's like, it's my stress relief. Marcus, I wasn't even intending on using it for a video, but I'll tell you what, I said, you know what? It was so good. I said, I'm going to use it for a video, but it was 10 minutes of just like that wonderful exhale. I didn't have a care in the world.
Pure joy.
It really is. Bill Thomas, he has such a great name for his show because that's exactly what this is for us, because we're all in the same age range here. Okay. And it really is drone therapy. it's just such an appropriate name for a show, and I'm glad he calls his show that, because that's what this is. It really is for all of us. So everybody, thank you guys so much for tuning in to all of our channels, and remember, if you can say a prayer and have a moment of silence for our good friend John Spezio, who passed away. He was a great member of the drone community. His family is in our thoughts and prayers. And remember, as I said last night on Drone Nation, life's short, guys. I lost a classmate of mine from high school recently, and two more of them are ill right now too. And it's just like, life is too short. Be friendly, be kind, enjoy people. It's too short to have petty arguments about stuff. With all that being said, remember, it's a great day to fly. Take care and see you guys next week.